up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at BAS Acura of North Tampa, and guess what? We have that one compact car that really is getting a lot of people fired up and debating with one another. This is it. This is a 2023, the return of a nameplate, the Acura Integra. But before we get into this base entry-level trim Integra, let's talk about what's going on here. So Honda, we all know Honda's been around for decades upon decades, but you know what? They did something that was very unique to the Japanese brands all the way back in 1986. They came out with a premium brand known as Acura. Now, with the introduction of the company, they also came out with a model called the Integra. The Integra over the years had its changes, had its hot model, the Integra Type R, but then eventually it would be replaced with the name RSX. And then once the RSX disappeared, that was the end of the story. Now, it's been a hot minute, but the Integra name is back. There's been a lot of debate over how Acura has reintroduced this car. Hot on the heels is gonna be the Type S coming out in about 6 short months. But what I have is this entry-level Integra, and what I wanna do is I wanna find out, is it worth it going the extra mile, going the extra dollar, and switching from a Honda Civic Hatchback to an Acura Integra? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this silver Integra and find out. Right off the bat, the style looks very similar to a Civic, but what Acura says, it does not share any exterior sheet metal with the current 11th generation Civic. Now at the front of the business, you're gonna get a unique headlight style that does make it stand out from the Civic. So up front, you're gonna have that LED daytime running lamp, LED turn signals. I love the multi-jewel LED headlights. And then you'll notice the chicane. That's part of Acura's styling philosophy, is that chicane daytime running lamp. We got the Acura badge within the headlight housing. And then you'll notice, just like the original Integra back in 1986, we have the Integra name stamped right in the front bumper. I like that nice touch, tying it in with the vehicles from the past. So there's Acura Integra. Working your way down on your entry-level Integra, you do have flat black trim. And overall, I kind of prefer the flat black trim. You'll notice that you have your functional air curtain with 2 little vortex generators to clean up the air as it goes into that opening. On the lower side, no fog lamp or anything like that that you would find on your A-Spec, but it's all flat black. And then coming across the center grille area, you actually get a little bit different style grille from the A-Spec. You'll notice that precision crafted performance badge, the Acura badge, everything moving away from the badge really shows movement even though the vehicle is not moving. And one of the big differences between this and an A-Spec Integra is you don't have the trim on the outer portion. Now, when you're comparing this to the Civic, I think many would agree that this has a sportier style than what the Civic has. A lot of people compared the 11th generation Civic to a Honda Accord. This, though, definitely has that unique Acura precision crafted performance design. On the lower portion, it is flat black, and I like that because over time that is gonna get a beating and look a lot cleaner than gloss black. You'll notice that little splitter extends out very nicely. Another thing you'll notice is behind this lower grille, we do have an intercooler. So even on your base Acura Integra trim, the standard entry-level trim, you are gonna get a turbocharged engine, which you do not get if you go base Honda Civic Hatchback. Now, when we get up onto that hood, that clean Acura design where you got the rise in the center, goes nicely towards the windshield and then evaporates. And then I like the other 2 peaks that come up. Like I said, these extra body lines do give it some extra style over the Honda Civic, sportier style. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So you're gonna get, these are your standard inch wheels. 17-inch in diameter, machined aluminum all the way around, metallic gray black color. And one of the things is, like I said, if you want a larger wheel, you could go up to A-Spec, and if you haven't seen one of my A-Spec videos, I'll leave a review of that at the end of this one. But standard 17-inch wheel, very similar to what's going to be standard on a Honda Civic. But you know what? They do give it a clean, sort of like luxury sport kind of look to it. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of the tires? 215 on the width, 50 series sidewall, and remember, all Integras are front-wheel drive. A-Spec manual has a limited slip diff. You cannot get a manual in a base Integra. Now, coming down the side, you do have color matched on the mirror caps. You do have some bright, shiny metal work, which I'm okay with because it kind of blends in nicely with the wheels. Standard size sunroof, another nice touch that you're not going to get on your Honda Civic base model, color matched on the door handles. And then you'll see the unique body lines as it goes towards the rear door. This is a big separator between this and the Honda Civic. Because remember, like I said, none of this sheet metal is shared with the Civic. Only the chassis platform is. So there's those body lines, everything coming towards the rear. I do like the way that they went almost with that Sportback hatchback style. Really shows that sleek look coming off the roof into the hatch area, and then coming around the rear. They did, I think, a great job with the style. You have that nice flared fender that comes off the rear passenger door. Look at the way they did the taillights. Full LED. Remember, on a Civic, some of the bulbs are the old school Thomas Edison light bulbs, but I do like the way they have the LED turn signals, your chicane brake lamp back there, and then coming around the back, just a little bit of kick up on that hatch area, the Acura badge. This was taken right from 1986. It was like Marty McFly went back and brought this style from the original Integra to this one. Obviously, we got the Integra name stamped in there, and then working our way all the way down. Clean on the rear diffuser, and I like the way they have that oval opening slash cut with the stainless steel tips on both sides. That's another thing that on a base Civic, you're not gonna see. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk numbers with this Integra. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. We put it into full service mode, which you could actually extend it up higher. That way, Steven could give you the bird's eye view advantage of that 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. So unlike the Honda Civic, this Integra comes standard with the 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, same thing as the one that we featured in the A-Spec. Now, if you get a base Civic, that's gonna have a 2 liter naturally aspirated inline 4 that puts out 158 horsepower. This base Integra with that 1.5 liter turbo inline 4, 200 horsepower. So it's almost 50 extra horsepower. If you want to be exact, it's 42 more horsepower. It's got 192 pound-feet of torque. It is only available with a CVT, and to me, that's going to be the zonk. I wish it had the 10-speed automatic from the TLX. 0 to 60 in about 7.5 seconds. Quarter mile is going to go by at 15.9 seconds at 93 miles an hour. The vehicle weighs around 3,117 pounds. MPGs, 30 in the city, 36 on the highway. So you can see it's nice that when you come in with the Integra, even though you're going entry level and not going up to an A-Spec, you do get that power of the higher rated Honda Civic. But to get a manual and to get a limited slip differential, you have to go A-Spec if that's the route you want to go. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire up this Integra and see it in motion. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Acura Integra, this one being your entry-level standard Integra. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, back when I was in high school, I was able to scrape enough money together for a base Integra. I didn't have a Type R. I had a 4-door hatch, and you know what? It was the most fun I had growing up, being able to rip it through the back roads where I live, and I didn't care. It was just a careless, joyful time, my childhood. I want to relive that. How much is this Integra? Very good question. So comparing this to the base Honda Civic, this base Integra has an MSRP of $31,895. Yes, it's a little bit more over a base Civic, but let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels, nice style. Flat black up top, soft touch material. You got some silver, looks like an Acura belt buckle for a door handle. Some other silver trim is really nice, that gray silver trim. And then what I really like is there's flat black on the switch gear, really soft armrest material. And then the door pocket, it's a decent size. I would say you could probably get one Arby's beef and cheddar, some curly fries, and a nice root beer to wash it down. Now going from the door panel to the dash, this is where you're gonna see some differences from the Civic. What they do is they did just the metal wire mesh only over the vents. If you remember the Civic, it comes all the way across. I'm digging this silver gray finish because it matches what's on the door panel. Soft touch, soft touch. And then what do you get infotainment system wise? I hope you're not expecting much. This is your base 7-inch system. If you go A-spec, that will grant you access to a 9-inch infotainment system screen. Very, very basic, nothing to really write home about except the fact that you have real knobs, which is a nice touch. I'll throw it in the reverse. There's your backup camera. It's on the grainy side. I wish on the Acura products they would give us a little bit better resolution, but you can adjust the angle of the camera, which is a nice touch. And then working your way down, we have the wire mesh for the center vents. You do get nice, that metal clicking sound of the AC vents. It's just standard AC controls, no dual climate on this particular one. We do have 3 stages of heated seats. And then working your way down, you got a USB-A, a 12 volt, and then you got an area down here where easily you could put 8 Twinkies. This is gonna control the CVT transmission. Remember, only transmission available on the base trim. You got your dynamic mode selector. I'll show you more of that when you come to the business side. A little bit of the faux leather on the shift boot. Gloss black, but the good news is you shouldn't really be touching this. 2 massive cup holder areas. I do love the Acura key fob. Here, let me get my Acura polishing cloth for you. There is the key fob. Spin it around. You got your buttons. You got the nice Acura badge. Like I said, you could get one of those Yeti bottles in here. Soft touch material. Open it up. You got enough room, I would say, 12 packs of Garbage Pail Kids. I used to love Garbage Pail Kids. My parents and teachers hated them. I'll be honest, there was a day I wasn't good in school, and what did my dad do? He took all my Garbage Pail Kid cards and threw them out. And now I tell him every time I see him, you cost us from being millionaires, because I was gonna sell them on eBay. Dad. Seats. Nice soft material. I like the way they did the stitching. Bolstering is great. It is manual controls for the passenger. You got the control up front to slide the seats. And then me being the driver, guess what? I have electric assist over here. So that's a nice touch. And you have that standard size sunroof. But why don't you come over here? I got 10 inches I want to show you behind the steering wheel in this Integra. All right, guys, behind the wheel in this new Integra, we do have our seat controls. Easy to get to. Nice to have electric assist for the driver. Remember, I'm 6 feet tall. Even with the sunroof, I got plenty of room in here. One of my favorite things to grab onto is gonna be the steering wheel. Love the thickness of the wheel itself. The stitching is really clean. You got a little bit of silver. All the gloss black is off the buttons, that iconic Acura badge. You do have paddles to go through simulated gears behind the wheel through that CVT. It's also manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then I promise you 10 inches, there's the 10 inches. 10 inches of clear digital display. I like the way you got your different modes, sport, normal, and comfort. You get a nice little chime every time you go through the different modes. Plus, you'll notice that you could also scroll through information right inside that speedometer. Very, very cool the way they do that. Yes, I know I need to go get fuel. I will do that before we go on throttle, but we got 2 more places to check out. Next stop, ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong, is the back seat. Let's go see how much room there is in the new Integra. All right, guys, back seat time, and I'm telling you right now, thank God this uses the same platform as the 11th generation Civic, because you have a ton of room back here for your rear seat passengers. I like the way the seats kind of angle back a little bit. The backs of the seats, you got the soft material, no pocket behind the driver, but I'm noticing that a lot of brands are cutting that out. I guess it's a way to cut back on costs. One thing though that I'm gonna zonk is not so much the lack of a pocket, nothing on the back of this center console, literally nothing. So you're gonna make sure you're gonna have to bring your 2 cans and a piece of string if you wanna talk to anybody, if your phone dies. I got a nice large pocket here. I would easily get 2 personal pan pizzas from Pizza Hut. I remember back in the day when we used to actually read books, and if you read your book that you were supposed to read in school, you would get your little card stamped, and then you would go get a free personal pan pizza. That's when we actually used to eat inside Pizza Huts, like a regular restaurant. You felt like king of the world. But you know what else is gonna have you feel like king of the world? No armrest. If there was an armrest, you'd feel like king of the world. But in this BAS Integra, no armrest. So my advice, go get yourself a personal pan pizza if you want to feel like king of the world. But why don't we go ahead? We may not have an armrest, but I heard there's some cargo space in here. Let's go check it out and see how many full-size pizzas that we could deliver in this Integra. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, time to get in the back hatch area. Yes, this is not a sedan. It's a sportback. It's a hatchback. You hit the button, use a little bit of muscle, the beach is that way, and what you're gonna be greeted to is going to be more room than what a lot of SUVs have that are compact in size. This has 24.3 cubic feet of space with the seats up. You do have a nice cargo net over here, perfectly fits a box of Twinkies, especially for if you're going on any type of road trip with the family. You don't want anybody to get hangry. You got the 60-40 split. Let me show you how easy math is, and this is why math is important. 60%, 40%. What does that equal? 100%. If I fold 1/2 down of the 60-40 split, what are we left with? We're left with 60%. See? Math is easy to figure out. You fold the seat down on one side. I'm gonna go ahead and take the 60%, fold it down, and kids, how much of the rear seat is folded down? Yes, you in the back, you're correct. That is 100%. Now, with those seats down, you just maximize the space. I can literally get an air mattress and go to sleep. I know Steven had a rough weekend. He was busy working, doing a bunch of photography. I told him just bring his, an air mattress. I'll let him sleep during our lunchtime, and he can sleep in the back of the Integra. But you know what? Lots of room. Just so you know, you don't get a spare. You got to pay extra for the spare package, no matter what Integra you go with, A-Spec, Type S, or the entry level. But you know what? It's that time. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go see how this standard entry level Integra drives down the road. Let's go on throttle. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Integra, and we are gonna go on throttle. I'm leaving it in automatic mode, and we're in sport. So here we go, on throttle. Into this right-hand bend. The great thing is that no matter what Honda or Acura product you get into, you get the same great driving dynamics. And that's what I really like about these vehicles, is that great steering feel, great feedback. Obviously, this is not a race car. And obviously, you could see that with the CVT transmission, you are not gonna get the quickest of acceleration, but there is the A-Spec, and then of course the Type S, it's on its way as well. I do like the way everything is organized and situated. Very easy to get to that smaller 7-inch screen. I'm gonna put it into S for the shifter, and this time we're gonna use the paddles. You'll notice in the lower left-hand corner, you do have a simulated gear indicator. From a dead stop, on throttle. on the brakes. But like I said, the turning, the feedback that you're getting, the balance of the chassis feels really good. And then you can see how that simulated shifting works as I'm using the paddles. It's probably one of the more responsive of a CVT transmission when it comes to the simulated shifting. And what I like about what it does is that it keeps down that loud drone that you could sometimes get when you are operating a vehicle with a CVT. All right, guys, here we go once again on throttle. Using those paddles on the brakes. I tell you, it really does grip fairly well with those smaller 17-inch wheels and tires, and obviously all season radials. But it just shows how you do get that nice driving dynamic sprinkled throughout all the Honda and Acura vehicles. And for the BAS Integra, like I said, having the 200 horsepower, you're definitely coming out on top in front of the Honda Civic, because Honda Civic 158 horsepower. Guys, one more time just to kind of show the driving dynamics, and then we're going to do some regular city drive. Going to use the paddles again, have the shifter on the S to give me that little extra sport, and the gauges are red, which means we're in sport mode. Hold on to your Twinkies, here we go. On throttle. On the brakes. This is where it puts a smile on your face. I love that decreasing radius turn there. Really, really nice to have some good driving feedback. Seats are nice and comfortable. You don't feel like you're sunken down in the seat, and there's plenty of room up front. I'm gonna go ahead and put the shifter back on drive, just regular drive, and we're gonna do some city driving. But talking more about the interior, I mean, the leather on the steering wheel is great. Soft touch material. You got that clear, easy to read and understand digital instrumentation. Visibility is wonderful. And then, of course, you got all the safety features. Lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring. And for those that don't like all the wire mesh in the Civic, they really cut that down here in the Integra. All right, guys. Driving down the road, nothing cuter than a dog hanging out the back window of a pickup truck in front of you. Really puts a smile on your face. But I think that this Integra will put a smile on your face once you get behind the wheel. I know a lot of people have been hating and debating and everything else about what the Integra is all about, but really is an easy car to drive. You're gonna get great fuel economy, and it's gonna be interesting for those of us that want more performance. You have the Type S coming very, very soon. But for the base level, I'm actually quite impressed with what you get, especially with the way you still get that 200 horsepower inline-4 turbocharged engine compared to just some naturally aspirated inline-4 power plant. But even in sport mode, the throttle sensitivity is precise without being too kind of grabby. Steering feels great. I don't think anybody's gonna call it overly heavy. I actually really dig the amount of weight that is in the steering. And then you got all that great cargo space and room for your rear seat passengers. So really kind of checks off a lot of boxes, and I kind of understand the direction that Acura had to go in with this car. It would have been nice, of course, to have a two-door Type S coming, but unfortunately, that is just not in the cards. But we got to get back. Hopefully, this has been a good overall review of the standard Integra. We got to get back and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. It's been another great day here at BAS Acura of North Tampa. I got to thank Albert and the whole crew getting us access to, like I said, this entry-level Integra. Let me know what you think. Would you go spend a little bit more with this Integra, or are you going to stick with a Civic Hatchback? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. We definitely got to give it up to Stephen Flood, Stephen Flood Photography. He makes the magic happen no matter what the obstacles are. He even had to jump over a car today. So thank you, Stephen. I'm glad you didn't lose your life getting run over by a car. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.